Welcome to the Whiskey Congress. Honest, open talk dedicated to speaking the truth to those who are open to hearing it. Black, white, right, left. Most importantly, honest, bold, and fueled by good whiskey. In Whiskey Veritas, we are Whiskey Congress. Join the evolution.
Whiskey Congress is back in session after a week off, so we got a lot of stuff to catch up on. Steven and I are together in the Cleveland studio. You're moving around so well, I almost feel like we don't need to do Steve's leg update.
Yeah, I mean, I'm without the brace. It's a little bit stronger. I've got more range of motion, so it feels pretty good. It's still very weak. It still gets really fatigued.
Sure, you're not doing weighted box jumps, but
No,
you're getting
not
around
yet.
so much better.
Yeah, no, I feel a lot better. Usually sleeping better, although last night kind of got to me because, you know, where they cut you open, those nerves have to grow back. And then some nights like that is a very fiery experience that's not overly pleasant. You know, but yeah, definitely doing better. And I've been traveling and on the road between Kentucky, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Michigan, you know, like, so that's part of the reason why there was such a gap between our recording.
Right.
But that traveling hasn't been great for my leg, but I keep up on my PT type stuff and, you know, hotel gyms and stuff like that, which actually aren't bad for that sort of thing. Most of the Marriotts usually have most of what I need. So.
Right.
So yeah, we're doing good.
You're
Doing good.
You're moving around like, if I didn't know, I would not know that you had an injury, was it 12 weeks ago? So the big, beautiful bill passed, a.k.a. the Trump-driven budget bill. Excuse me, and I've done almost no research on this.
Well, let's be clear.
It passed the House. Sorry.
It passed the House through reconciliation this
By
week.
one vote.
By one vote in the, you know, dark of the night sort of deal. It's not a pretty bill, not a pretty budget for anybody in any sense of the word, unless you make a lot of money. And what I mean by that is, you know, this bill over the course of 10 years is going to add $3.75 trillion to our national debt.
Yep.
You know, and that's not, guys, it's not, I'm no fan of the Democrats. I think the Democrats have a lot of problems that are of their own creation. They can't get out of their own way. Like, the Trump administration is nosediving right now, and the Democrats don't have a clue on what to do and how to deal with it, right? But the reality is that this budget is not only going to add to our national deficit, it's dangerous, right? It creates other problems for us because they're cutting Medicaid, right? Like, they're not getting rid of it completely, but they're and how they're doing it is they're adding these very, you know, restrictive workforce work requirements, and everyone loves to champion it. Like, oh, people need, if you're on Medicaid, you need to be working. If you're not working, you like, you know, and they have all these stipulations. But the issue is, like, chances are, if you've got a person on Medicaid, like, do you have instances of fraud and abuse of the system? Sure you do, right? But what they're doing by implementing some of these rules on Medicaid or like the health insurance marketplace, a majority of your people legitimately need those services as provided because of whatever their limitations are, right? Which is why they're in this sort of dire situation. And all you're going to do by inflicting it, because what they've done is they've taken narrative and rhetoric and literally used that to form policy. Right, they're not putting. There's no data that supports what they're doing. Right, there's no objective, quantitative way that you could say that this makes sense and this is going to help. And so, when you do look at the data behind the potential of the damage that it'll cause, like, you see the number of people that aren't going to be able to meet these requirements no matter what they do, and they're going to get booted off of Medicaid.
So can I jump in for a second?
Go ahead.
Because these things end up being counterproductive. Because the way we administer healthcare in this country, absolutely fucking nauseates me just in general.
People losing their health care is going to be counterproductive.
Well, yes, in terms of not even right, in terms of humanity, absolutely, but even financially.
Yes,
because people who don't have another choice go to the emergency room.
Yes,
and I don't want to live in a country where people are turned away from the emergency room because they don't have money. But then the amount
you already live there. Two, that's going to increase, but it just also like that. This is going to tax the system even more. Right, because you're going to have more people in hospitals. You're going to have more homeless people. You're going to have more people. Any institution that does anything that takes care of these people that have needs, right, is going to be overwhelmed.
And money spent on indigent care then gets passed on to insurance companies, which pass it on to consumers. So, again, our healthcare system is fucked, and this makes it worse. I'm sure it's going to be sold to the right as, look at all the money we're saving on these.
Well, yeah, and so let me just get through it, right, before we get too subjective about it, right? Like, I want to talk about factual things.
You do some research. Okay, good. Well, no. That isn't that. I didn't do any research. I just know what I've seen on.
Yeah, we know.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you did some research. You want to show it off? No, but I just want to make sure that because here's the thing, everyone has an opinion about this, right? Yeah. And most of the opinions about this aren't accurate. You know why? Because no one fucking read any of this. No one took the time to go through and read it, right? So everyone's just going off of again the
CNN
narrative,
and Fox,
right? Well, CNN, Fox, average people at the bar, every discussion about it. And the reason why that's a problem is for what I just said earlier, is that this bill was literally written off of a conversation that two dickbags have had in the bar down the street from you. Right? Like, this is literally based off of, oh, well, all the fucking illegals are getting Medicaid and they're living and eating steaks off of our dime. You know what I mean?
They took our jobs.
And Trump's just like, oh, yeah, these people are pissed off. We should tap into that. And they did tap into it, right? So then they're just like, hey, this is MAGA. This is your party. What do you want us to talk about, right? And they fed him all, like any conspiracy theory that was made fun of by South Park, they literally fed him. And then that literally became his fucking campaign. And now they're just executing it. And they wrote a book on it in Project 2025. And now they're executing it, but it's all off of, like, bullshit, right? Like, they're doing this to Medicaid, and then they're justifying it by saying all of the illegals who are getting Medicaid, it's going to save us all this money because we're going to kick out millions and millions of illegals. Meanwhile, right, like, since they've been in office, they've flown out a few hundred people, right? They told us in the first 100 days it was going to be, 10,000 people they were going to get rid of?
I think they said like per week,
or what? 10,000.
It was a huge number.
Either way, they're not even at 1,000 yet, right? So, the reason why I want to go through what's actually in the bill is so that we're not just talking about narrative and rhetoric, right? They want to they want to do a 30% cut to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which is SNAP. Right, like which that provides, kids with lunches and breakfast and food, and people in need. It provides them food. So if you take away 30%, so 30% of the people on SNAP right now are going to lose their food benefits, right? Which means you've got 30%, like that percentage of the population, 30% of it is now going to be hungry.
Yeah.
And what happens when people are fucking hungry? Right,
they get desperate.
They get desperate, right? They don't just kind of fade and go away, or they don't just pick themselves up by their bootstraps and then go out and become millionaires, right? Right, which is the GOP mantra, conservative mantra, right? We're gonna get you off the teat of the government, and then you got to pick yourself up by your bootstraps and do anything that you want to do, and there's no barriers to any of that, which we all know is bullshit, right? You're gonna get 30% of the people that are on SNAP off of it. And you're going to kill 20% of those people by doing so.
And again, desperation leads to more crime, leads to more
leads
nothing
to
good.
Crime, drug abuse, all these sort of things.
Yeah. And I'm throwing a personal story because I have an ex-girlfriend who used to work for the United Way. So she worked a lot in inner city Cleveland, and a lot of these kids were on, I'm sure SNAP.
Yeah.
And I also used to be engaged to a teacher who taught in a lower middle class neighborhood, and she would talk about the difference when a kid gets breakfast versus not. They're entirely different during the day. And what my ex-girlfriend from the United Way used to talk about was just the things that were getting provided by these programs and these kids having nowhere to go after school. And then the United Way has definitely had its issues, but they, I know I talked about this years ago where I saw a video of them bringing like toys and stuff for the kids for Christmas. And it was downright a tearjerker. I mean, these kids were basically looking for, had nothing in this room. They had a pool table, but no pool cues. And they brought in stuff for the kids to play with. And it was heartwarming. And then you see this crowd coming in right now, and it's like, let's rip all that shit away because they're not rich. They're not helping us.
Right. And so, again, the health insurance marketplace, right? So that's the, Affordable Care Act and the,
right.
What do they call it? The health exchange or whatever. They're increasing like basically the barrier to entry for lower income people to be able to get insurance through the health insurance marketplace. And why are they doing that? Right. Well, if we get rid of the poor people, right, then that's less money we have to spend out. Right. And that's how we'll save money because we're giving this massive tax cut to, the top 5%. Right. And so it's a combination of, cruelty and lack of empathy and all
those
those
lack of empathy is definitely
right. Like it's that along with, just pure and utter greed, right?
Yep.
Like so we're gonna give, like we have to give the rich a tax break because it's not fair to give half your income. Like just because you're rich, you shouldn't have to give away all this money, and the rich pay more taxes than everybody else, so everybody else should have to do their fair share. So it's just like, so wait, so your thing is you're going to charge the rich less, right, so that the rich can be richer and more comfortable. Okay, fine, right? I agree with you. I feel like I shouldn't have to give up half my income, but at any income level, right? But you're going to do that just for them. And that's going to create more of a deficit, right? It's going to increase the deficit. But to offset this loss of revenue, you're going to take away, right, from the people who have the least, right, which is not going to fully make up for the loss of revenue, right? Like, so by taking all this away, by making the cuts to Medicaid, or making the adjustments to Medicaid, by making the cuts to SNAP, by making the adjustments to the health insurance marketplace, you end up saving about $1.7 trillion. But again, because of these tax cuts, you're going to be losing and creating a further deficit of $3.7 trillion. Right? So you're still at a net loss.
Right.
And in doing so, you've helped the richest of the rich, and you have objectively hurt the poorest of the poor, those among us who got the least amount, right? So, and that's the part that just needs to be clear. Like, and look, that's not me making it up. That like it's directly in the bill. These are things that they're not only that they're not even trying to hide it. They're touting it.
Right? Oh, that's true.
They're telling you what they're doing.
I'm envisioning this, and if I'm wrong, they'll call me out, I'm sure. But I'm envisioning you started looking into this last night, and kind of went like me on a JFK conspiracy thing, just like, oh shit. And you just kept on reading. Oh, okay. You said you were up late reading this stuff.
Well, I was up late, but I was up late working on something for work, and this tied to it because there is, and that's the other thing. There are some actually really good things in my world in this bill. Expanding the 9% low-income housing tax credit, extending opportunity zones. Like those are tools that I use in my world to generate affordable housing that I do like. But I'll just tell you that it is worth me not having those things for this bill to die. Just because of what I think how bad, because it's not just it's going to increase the deficit and people are going to lose their health insurance. It's the sort of reciprocal effect of those people losing health insurance, those people losing Medicaid coverage, those people losing SNAP benefits, right? Like, losing some of these green energy tax credits, and everyone's just like, oh, climate change is a myth, blah, blah, blah. Well, okay, our last president and that government body legislated these tax credits in for green energy savings, right? And there were projects that pencil because of those tax credits. And this bill and this administration is talking about ripping those away, right, and killing those projects in place. And those projects are producing housing. Those projects are producing commercial spaces where people are going to work, right? Like those projects are are building some of the economic drivers that communities need to either get on track, stay on track, or get to the next level of the track. And this administration is going through with a sledgehammer and destroying all of that.
And it's, again, superficially pretty obvious, and they punch all the buttons. Oh, the Green New Deal wants to ban airplanes by 2027. No, they don't. There's so many lies out there. And that's one of the biggest problems is you can say what you want about the CNNs and MSNBCs. They definitely have their flaws. But they don't just spew nonsense to a crowd that is feeding off of it and will listen to nothing else. And the amount of people who believe complete and utter bullshit.
You can't include CNN. I mean, CNN has had to issue a whole lot of retractions over the last 5 years.
And they've done it.
Okay.
Has Fox?
It doesn't matter. How does CNN do it?
Oh,
how does CNN issue their retractions?
Fine. But
okay, so it doesn't matter. Like they're both. But no.
False equivalency.
It's not a false equivalency.
It is a false equivalency.
You put a fucking lie out there the night before a fucking election, right? That is something that's unequivocally not true. It actually may or may not actually have an impact, and then you don't apologize for it until 2 weeks later on fucking page 6 at 3:00 in the morning. Come the fuck on.
Well, I get false equivalency, but go ahead.
Look, I'm sorry. CNN is garbage, and you know it. Right, and your beef with them is legitimate, and just because it's not as ridiculous as Fox, right? Like Fox is literally just like saying whatever, but CNN is still lying about things.
CNN sucks, and
MSNBC is also lying about certain things. CNN, they don't there is guilt by omission by all of them, and like I don't care about them. I don't even know why we're fucking talking about them. This is directly about what the government that's in place right now is doing to dismantle this country. Right. But none of our media sources are actually accurately reporting what's going on. They're more worried about their particular narrative. Your issue is that you're more okay with the Democratic narrative, right? And that's closer to the truth. So you're willing to give them a pass when they're not accurately, literally reporting fucking anything.
And I'm not giving them a pass. I'm saying it's a false equivalence because Fox is literally state propaganda now.
Okay,
they are so.
Fine.
Well, no, it's not fine.
But that's what they are. We know that.
We know that. You and I know that. But the guy sitting next to me at the bar gobbles that shit up and thinks that literally it's okay to suspend due process because throw in whatever reason. It's okay to do this. And CNN and MSNBC, yeah, they were definitely soft on Democratic administrations, but they weren't total fucking lapdogs. And that's what Fox is. And then you move to Newsmax and the other shit, and it's worse. And the false equivalencies
it's not a false equivalency. Like, look, if CNN is not accurately reporting information, right, or they're saying things that are blatantly not true, just because they put forth a little bit more effort in their retraction than Fox does, like, or they're not as overly dramatic. Like, it still works against what they're both there for. You just tell me what's going on. That's it. You go and you figure out what's accurately going on, and you tell me that, not your narrative, not what you think about it. Like Rachel Maddow, right? Like, listen, she's solid at her job, but at the end of the day, she is doing a disservice, right, to the people who watch her every night because she's putting spin on it. She's putting a narrative on it. She's, really, really nice to Democrats, but she's really, really soft, or you know what I mean? She's really, really hard on Republicans to a point where, she goes through all this stuff with Trump and his taxes, and she comes up with fucking nothing on live TV, right? Like these, are they the exact same? Is Fox worse? Sure. Newsmax, OAN, yeah, they're worse, right? But it's not a false equivalency. It's maybe a further apart disparity or whatever.
Okay, tilted disparity. I'll change
okay,
that.
Fine, but because they're literally CNN, MSNBC both Like, just because they issue the retraction, right, that, like, you're shooting yourself in the foot there. Why are they issuing a retraction? Because they fucking lied. And what is Fox doing? Lying. They're doing the same fucking thing, but for different reasons, and they all are hurting us.
I won't disagree with that last statement. They all are hurting us. I will say that, and the problem is it's infotainment, right? So right wing, whether it's an actual network or I watch tons of. I watch Tim Pool. I watch Ben Shapiro. I watch the Midas Touch, although I'm losing it with the Midas Touch because they're throwing out such ridiculous headlines, and it's like all clickbait, and it's working for him. You know, Trump loses his mind at press conference. I watch him like, Trump did Trump stuff. That was not headline worthy. But anyway, I watch all these folks, and they feed off each other, right? Midas Touch will play clips from Fox and say, look how ridiculous this is. Ben Shapiro will play Rachel Maddow clips, and they're selective in what they put out there. There's a lot of false narratives there too. But we're being spoon-fed bullshit, and I'm losing my voice. So I agree with you on that part. There's so many areas where the left sucks at one thing, but when there's tornadoes or floods in Kentucky and the South, Democrats aren't saying, "Oh, and if you want support."
We've strayed off of it because my focus again is the actual bill itself.
Okay, and that's important. I'm not going to argue that.
It is the thing.
It is the thing. Yes,
right? Like, we can't dismiss it, right? Like, I don't give a fuck about the media. That's more of what I'm trying to say. I don't give a fuck about Fox. This is not the time to rant about Fox or CNN.
Okay. I will.
Right? Like, this bill is literally is taking major shots at our fucking Constitution.
Well, yeah.
Right? Like,
first of all, we don't care about our Constitution anymore. Let's get that shit out there now.
I do. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, like, there are much bigger fucking fish to fry, and this is the part that drives me insane because people are so easily distracted because it's about what you want to say, right? Like, the big thing at hand, what are the pillars that hold up our society that allow us to do this freely? That allow us to be on this bullshit that we bought from China that just happened to work really well, right? And can criticize the government openly without somebody crashing through the windows. What are the pillars that allow us to do that?
The Constitution.
Right? The Constitution, due process, all that shit. And it is literally under attack right now. So instead of arguing about Fox News and Carolyn Levitt and Steve Doocy and Rachel Maddow and Cenk Unger and Joe Rogan, they don't fucking matter anymore. They don't. Okay. And I get that they're the ones that are delivering the information, but if you are so stupid where you can't figure this shit out without somebody else telling you what it is, then you are fucking useless to fucking me. Sorry.
So let's talk about the Constitution getting trampled because, first of all, Trump keeps playing the fucking tariffs game, which a president is not supposed to be allowed to do without congressional approval. Happened again today. Trump accepted a gift from a foreign government that is going to be his. There's something called the Emoluments Clause. It's in the Constitution.
Well, hold on.
Okay. It's right there. Article 1.
I'm familiar with the Constitution. One of us has a law degree and has passed the bar. One of us hasn't.
I've been to a bar more recently, yeah.
Pipe down. No, but the thing with the plane, though, that's not as direct as people think. And honestly, I'm going to tell you, there's not a lot there. We want it to be, but there's not. Here's why. Because technically that plane isn't going directly to him. Technically, the gift is being made to, I think, the Department of Defense.
DOD,
You're right. Department of Defense, he has access to it. Now, it's a loophole, but nonetheless, I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, you don't actually have the emoluments issue. It doesn't pass the smell test, but it still stands up, right? And this is not the hill to die on. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. I think it's hurting. I think that did hurt him with his own people, right? Like, a lot of his own people were like, "What are you doing? Like, this, like, hey, right? We're talking about corrupt, and they're saying, hey, we're going to give you a plane, and you're taking it willingly, right? Like, I think it's bad PR for them, but it doesn't hold water with, like, this is going to be the thing that brings their administration.
Oh, I know it'll bring them down. I think.
Right. I mean, and I don't even think
resistance.
Even if you could get a court to actually hear an emoluments clause violation, which you're not going to, given the status of the courts right now, I don't know if it really. I think you had a. There's been other things that he's done, right? Going back to his first. His first administration, some of the stuff that went on with China and
Saudi Arabia,
and everything else. Like, I mean, I think you could have, if you were going to get him on that was the way to get him. This ain't going to be the way to get him. This is a bad look, but this isn't the thing that concerns me, right? It doesn't help, and it's bad. But again, if we're looking at the totem pole, right, and I know the bottom is the best, but if we're looking at most critical things,
jingling the keys kind of thing.
Right? Like this is a distraction. The broader concern though is around the tariffs without congressional approval. The concern is Stephen Miller talking about suspending habeas corpus in order to just remove the illegal immigrants, right? Because my issue with that is that's not going to be once you suspend habeas corpus, it's not we're suspending habeas corpus for these particular people, and they can say that, but there's enough wiggle room there where they could also just disappear a few people that they don't like and say, oh, they just kind of got caught up in the administrative whatever, it was a mistake, like that Abreu guy, but now we don't have the control to get them back from fucking the Liberian jail that we sent them to. We don't have the ability to get them back from the Sudan. We just sent them there. We can't make them give them back, right? Like, so there are legitimate attacks happening on your constitutional rights in real time that I don't really care what the media is telling me. I'm now going by what the administration is doing, what they're saying, the things that I could read for a fact, where they're telling us what they're doing, right? They're telling us what they're doing. They're flat out telling us if the Supreme Court of the United States rules in a way in which we don't like, we're probably just going to fucking ignore it, and there's nothing that they could do. And I got fucking John Roberts over there not really saying dick about it.
So they're not telling, they're bragging, right?
Right? Like
they're literally like in your face, like, we're doing what we want to do. We're MAGA. We're trying to make America great. So,
right. I mean, they're just like, oh, well, how dare district courts tell us what we can and can't do? Like, it's the Constitution. It's not a dare, right? Like, you guys are just putting together shitty legislation, and then it's getting kicked back by, the people that you put in place. That's the other thing, right? These are district judges that they put in place that they were so excited about, right? Like when before Mitch McConnell went on permanent pause, right? Like that was his crowning achievement, that he packed the courts with all these great conservatives.
He blocked Obama's ability to nominate.
Obama, right? Whether it was SCOTUS or the appeals court or even district courts, and then so you got all your guys in, right? 90% of the courts are all your guys, and your guys are telling you, yeah, you can't do that. Well, fuck you. We want to impeach you, and we're not going to listen to you, and we're just going to flat out ignore you. And not only at the district court level, not only at the appeals court level, but now they're basically saying if the Supreme Court rules in a way that they don't approve with, there's a good chance they may just say fuck it.
They've already done that, right? The Garcia, I think was his last name. I forget his first name. Yes. The guy from Maryland.
9-0.
9-0.
Right?
And, it just said we have to facilitate. Well, that just means we have to give him a cheeseburger when he gets back to America, but the rest of it's up to, whatever happens. We are in a constitutional crisis. There is no doubt about it. And if you're going to say, well, the plain thing is, getting rid of the piece of lettuce in your fucking over, whatever. I'm stumbling badly.
You okay?
But yeah, I am fine, thank you.
Did you just have a stroke?
I did not. I don't think. But I mean, what I'm saying is, it's just like such a small piece of the puzzle. I get that. It is a terrible look. It is sleazy as hell. It amazes me how hypocritical right-wing MAGA people are, because damn well if Biden or Bill Clinton or Barack Obama got that from a foreign country, they would lose their motherfucking minds.
Yeah, and again, because it's being gifted to the Department of Defense, like that's the main reason why it's a nothing burger to me. Like, if it was a gift to DJT corporations, right? His private firm, then I'm like, all right, now we definitely have a problem. And the other issue that you have is that it wouldn't be the first time that a country has gifted something to the United States. True. Right? I mean, the fucking Statue of Liberty was a gift from France.
Yeah, but
okay,
to the country.
But this is to the Department of Defense.
That's ultimately supposed to be donated to the Trump library for his personal use.
Okay,
so
but that's still. I mean, look.
If we can agree, it's a loophole. And,
yeah, that's.
Okay,
I mean, I said it in the beginning. I'm like, it's a loophole, but it is what it is, and it exists, and we haven't done a good job of closing it. Go ahead.
I was going to say, we're now spending a bunch of time on the thing that you're saying is a nothing burger, and I'm not going to fight back on it, because in terms of international diplomacy, we had a disastrous week when Trump was telling the president of South Africa that white farmers are being victims of genocide, and then showed all these pictures that came straight off of a conspiracy website. So you were talking earlier about the knucklehead at the bar says something, and then Trump takes it as gospel, and now
literally creates policy over it.
Yeah,
right. Like we're the exclusive country taking in white South African farmers, right? Because Elon Musk told Donald Trump, like, hey, this is a big deal, right? White people are under attack. So, they do a full reversal on their whole immigration thing. And it's like, all right, well, we have to go save these white people that are under attack by these savage Africans, right? And we're going to force South Africa to change their ways because now all of a sudden we give a fuck about South Africa, right? Like, I mean, come on. It's blatantly obvious what they're doing. And they're doing it in real time, in your face, don't care, not even trying to hide it, right? Saying the quiet part out loud. And it's amazing.
Now, you brought up Elon Musk, and I heard this months ago. I want to know if you heard it. So Elon Musk was getting called a racist and a Nazi because, well, he did a Sieg Heil, and he is those things. But his dad defended him by saying, he's not a racist. He really liked our black servants in South Africa. Did you ever hear that?
No.
He said that was his dad's defense. He liked our black servants. I'm like, bravo, you fucking out of touch cunt. My mom's gonna yell at me again now. Fuck.
But what's interesting though, right? Like, so, Elon Musk paid his way into the administration, and he was able to get some access for himself and Doge and Tesla and Starlink and whatever, Neuralink and everything else. But it seems as though he may have fallen a little bit out of favor with the White House. I think it probably related to the tariffs and him like, hey, this is actually directly impacting me very negatively, aside from the fact that being associated with you is impacting me very negatively. Like, maybe we need to kind of reverse course on these tariffs. And ever since then, there seems to have been some form of a chilling between Trump and Musk, to the point where Trump hasn't said much about him openly in the media. And when Elon Musk was asked, he was at some sort of summit or something in, I think, Qatar, oddly enough. Elon was asked about, his future support. He was very sort of, I probably won't spend that much money ever again unless I really see the need to, and I think it's interesting. I also want to caution people not to take that as some sort of victory for the other side. Right? Like, I mean, because if Doge is still there and operational, right, it's this thing that he built and put together. So just because Elon Musk isn't there sitting in the White House having press conferences for some ungodknown reason, that doesn't mean that he's still not having an impact and having an effect and isn't still a massive threat, I think, to everyone's privacy and safety.
Basically, they lost their mascot, is what you're saying.
Maybe. I mean, and I don't even know.
Dude jumping around with a fucking chainsaw going, look at me, I'm not.
I don't even know how unintentional this was, right? I mean, because he had said from the beginning that he didn't plan to be in there. Like, he basically, he wanted to get it set up and sort of turn it into its own sort of self-operating thing so he could get back into other things. It just seems like it maybe has happened a little sooner, and there may be a little bit of friction there, but we should I think people need to be cautious of taking that as some sort of a win, because I think he still has his hooks into the administration.
Yeah, probably. And he certainly still has money and some influence. And Trump took some weird subtle dig where he was talking about a friend of his who's a really popular guy, a really rich guy, and he's trying to take he was basically saying Elon Musk is on Ozempic. You didn't see this?
Yeah, no, I saw it.
And I mean, it's
I don't think it
projections.
was. I didn't connect it to Elon Musk, but maybe that's who he was talking about.
Other people did. It's speculation, but that's typical Trump stuff. I'm not going to name names, but blah blah blah. But I'm going to hint that a really powerful guy, blah, yeah, whatever. The other thing that Trump has done recently is, and how people are losing their minds over this from a constitutional standpoint is amazing, is he said that he's no longer allowing Harvard to accept immigrant students because they've created an environment that is anti-Semitic and pro-Hamas, so you can't have international students or immigrant students on your campus. I've been on Harvard's campus multiple times. I'm guessing you have too, having spent some time in Massachusetts. Take the immigrants out, and it's going to cut into the student body. But even beyond that, this is such ridiculous government overreach. Like, if you're saying these are individuals that can't come to this country because of terrorist affiliations, use due process, show that, don't let them in, kick them out, whatever. Yeah, but to block Harvard...
Obviously, we're beyond... We're
that's
beyond
that's my point.
Standard operating procedure, right? Like, they're doing it for twofold. One, again, just to be mean and get rid of these people. They want to hurt Harvard, which once you take out, a third of their student population, that's going to hurt them. And I don't know if that's the accurate number.
I don't either.
But you take out a sizable percentage of their student population, that's going to hurt Harvard. But what it then does is, all of a sudden, Harvard is going to have to hard pivot, right, back to, the upper middle class and wealthy white students, right? I think it'll hurt them enough to where they'll have to include that sort of upper middle class, white contingent. But either way, so then all of a sudden they'll swing back. At that point in time, that's when they'll swing back and say, oh, well, Harvard, the prodigal son has returned and they're back to what we want them to be. And we made America great again. We got rid of all the brown people, and now we replaced them with a bunch of white people, and everybody's happy and everything is great. I think it's pretty clear and obvious that's what the plan is, right? And then they'll figure out how to monetize it, right?
Now,
how to get private
Harvard
equity.
is suing the administration, and one thing Harvard has is lots of really high-powered, well-connected lawyers.
Well, I mean, Alan Dershowitz was considered one of their best, and
he's a dipshit, but and a lot of them were taught by Alan Dershowitz, so fine. But there were, come on,
no,
the Harvard endowment. Please let that word just go. The amount of money in the Harvard system is insane. I remember my dad giving me an article about how much money they have.
But
in the 80s?
But this is. That's what you're talking about is kind of the tabloid thing here, because look, at the end of the day, this is how this is going to go down, right? Harvard's going to sue them, right? And Harvard's going to make some good points, but at the end of the day, even if the case were to go to the Supreme Court, if the Supreme Court knows that the administration is just going to ignore what they're saying and what they're doing, they're going to eventually break the Supreme Court sooner than later, and it'll be by the time this Harvard thing gets to them where Supreme Courts probably won't even hear their case. And if they do, they're not going to rule in favor of Harvard. I don't think the quality of their lawyers matter because we know that they're going to be great, and I don't think it's going to matter because you've got a federal government that has gone rogue.
Okay, I agree with that, and that's fucking horrifying. And the fact that we're not in fucking alarm mode is awful because, and a lot of people are. A lot of people.
I am very much in alarm mode.
I am too.
Right? And people, it's like you guys think I'm crazy, but I'm just telling you, it's problematic.
I don't think you're crazy for that reason. But no, it is a really big deal. And average guy on the street is either rah-rah MAGA or grumbling about it. And Steve, honestly, if someone asked me, so what are you going to do about it? I don't fucking know. I don't know that. I don't have the political or practical ability to do shit, and I fucking hate it.
Well,
I
think
vote
they're
2026, but
yeah. I mean, I think it's more important than ever that people get involved at the local level with your local politicians. You got to go,
call your senators, call your congressmen.
I mean, you got to. If there's a town hall meeting, you got to go.
Yep.
City council, you got to go. You got to see who the people are that are, in your community at your level. See who they are, how they interact, what their thought process is, where they lie, where their alliances lie, and you got to start to think about whatever your needs are here locally. You have to put pressure on them, and if there's concerns about what's happening at the federal level, then that's kind of where you start. But then, yeah, you not yes, write and call your federal legislatures, right, state and house, but if there's an event where they're going to be, show up and put fucking pressure on them. These people do not like to be confronted in person, right?
No,
so if they're going to
town halls, whatever they
right,
can.
I mean, so if there's a situation, I don't care Republican or Democrat, you got to go out and you need to voice, you consider yourself a person that is informed, then go have an informed conversation with the people with these people, right? They're not that untouchable. Marcy Kaptur's office is right up the fucking street.
Yeah, but she's stepping down, isn't she?
Well, yeah, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I've actually gone...
don't sass me. The point is that the people...
I've actually gone to that office years ago, and
right.
it's hey...
And the point is that you have access to them.
Yep.
So use it. Right? Some of the shit that we talk about, we got to use it. Now, you could turn it on me and say, oh, well, you need to do that. Motherfucker, I do. That's the thing. I do. I do here, right, locally in Cleveland. I do it in Columbus at the Capitol building, right? I do it in Youngstown. I do it in another whole fucking state down in Kentucky, right? Now, some of that is directly related to what I do, but it doesn't matter, right? This is not the time for excuses. Oh, well, you got better access than I do. You're about to lose your country. You're going to lose your country because you can't take an hour out of your day to go have this conversation with this person who's a decision maker. Don't put that on me.
No,
I'm not talking to you directly, but
I know.
nobody wants to be put on the spot about do your job. Your job as a citizen is to impact what the fuck is going on, right? And it doesn't matter whether you're a fucking lawyer or an engineer or a bartender or a fucking stripper. Right? If you see things and you understand that this shit is going to hurt you, then you need to go say something. Right? Because at least if it all still goes to shit, at least you can say you fucking tried.
I mean, I agree with what you're saying. Now, you're also Mr. Moral victories don't mean shit.
They don't. But in that case, right? If I'm going to go down, I have to know that I went down fighting is the point.
I understand. And I agree.
Right. I mean, and I'm not saying we have to go down. I don't know. I don't even know what that means. Right. But maybe at the end of the day, we need to burn it all down and start it over. I mean, I've made that reference multiple times with my references to Thanos. But it's just the broader point is look, and this is what the Democrats have to start to understand. Right. Democrats right now are such a fucking mess. Right. It's all the infighting amongst the Democrats, people just getting lambasted because, well, if you don't support all of these 20 different, initiatives, right, then you're some sort of a bigot or a racist or a sexist or a Nazi or whatever, and you gotta go, right? And so, they still don't get why they lost.
Look, I'm 100% with you there. I have said multiple times that from a winning election standpoint, the Democratic Party could fuck up a 2-car funeral. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's... And what you just referenced, we've talked about, where it's do this or you're a bad person. How about talk about what you're going to fucking do? Trump is about to sign a bill that gets rid of taxes on tips. When that came up during the campaign, what did I say? I said, Kamala, talk to Biden, talk to Congress, put that out there right fucking now. Don't hold on to it for, if you vote for me, you'll get this. Right now, say, we're putting this to bed. And I have heard various things about what that bill is actually going to do. Like, it's going to classify gifts to really wealthy people as tips so they won't have to pay taxes. So it might not actually be just the service industry and whatever. But so there's always a sleazy aspect to it, and that's a different discussion. But Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party fucked that up big time. They had that right in their wheelhouse, and they said, well, if you vote for us, you'll get this. And A, no one believed them. And then B, it gets to Trump, and now it's getting put through his way. And I have not researched it, but I've heard things on the same news outlets we were talking about earlier that say that, okay, you're losing the shell game here. Like, yeah, this is going to be great for service industry people, but it's really about this other thing that you're never going to fucking see.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess my thing is, we got to start to read the legislation, folks.
Yeah.
Because you got a whole bunch of people that are arguing about it, and you didn't read it, right? Now, did I read every page of the legislation for this big, beautiful bill that is supposed to be the budget? No, it's 1,200 pages. I absolutely did not. But I can tell you that I read close to fucking half of it. Right?
Oh, wow, all right.
And that was over the course of a couple of days when it came out because I literally speed read it, so
Sure,
it's not like I digested it. But
you're not checking for grammar,
right? Exactly. But I mean, also because that's the only you have to at least see what's in there and the type of things that in there, because when you go through these things, right, it is kind of a boring read. But I'm telling you, the more you do it, the more things start to stand out. You either start to see you start to see a lot of repetition, right? Not necessarily in words, but in sort of tone and how things are delivered, and then you just kind of get used to reading, processing really quickly, and moving on. Like, oh, this is nothing. This is copy language, whatever. But then you get something that just you go back and like, wait, what did I just read? What percentage are they cutting out of this? How much money are they putting into this? Wait, that's $1 trillion, bro. These are big fucking numbers. And that's all I'm saying is that we got to figure.
Well, and to your point, we're not going to get that. Let's face it. Dude down the street is not going to read the legislation. So we do.
Motherfucker, you ain't reading the legislation.
I have not read this. There's things that I have in the past. I would take your jabs, fine. I know you're very proud of yourself right now. But there have been plenty of times when I've looked into it to the next level. And, but this is back to, I was going to throw you a bone, and I'll still do it because I'm not the kind of guy to get petty. But, we need straight reporting, was your point earlier, that we don't need the spin from CNN or Fox. You'll recover from this soon enough. We don't need the spin. We need here is what this says. Here is what this means. And truthfully, we probably have that in institutions like NPR and other mostly foreign news agencies. And unfortunately, unlike CNN and Fox that have the shouting and all the info version of the infotainment, they're boring. People don't watch them. And the administration aggressively attacks things like NPR.
Well, yeah. I mean,
PBS.
It's funny to listen to foreign nations news report on us.
Oh, it's fucking awful,
right? Because they read it and they're just like,
how fucking dumb are
right?
you people?
They're just they're so sort of taken aback by how ridiculous we are. They're just like, I don't know what's going on over there.
And you see the administration talking about we're respected again. Oh my God, we are so not respected right now. I've listened to speeches being given by leaders from Scotland, Canada, Germany, France. I haven't. Yeah, those are the 3 or 4 that stick out in my head the most. But you hear the way we're getting talked about both in their media and by their public officials, and it's like we are a fucking laughingstock. I mean, they literally look at us like we are that fucking dumb, and I can't tell them they're wrong. We are a dumb country. All right, man, we're going on for a while. There's still so much to talk about, but we kind of had a brief interaction about James Comey retweeting seashells that read 8647. And so a lot of the right-wing media and members of Congress are saying, he's saying assassinate Trump. That's what that means. And he should be arrested. He should be prosecuted. Now, I don't think it was a smart move by Comey. In fact, I think it was really fucking dumb. Having said that, this is another false equivalency. These are the same people that put out, Trump, I believe, personally retweeted an image of someone driving a truck that had Joe Biden hogtied in the back of a truck. So I agree what Comey did was stupid, but this moral outrage when it's fucking seashells is just such a... I'm trying to find a better way to say it than false equivalency, but the outrage is so hypocritical and so fucking infuriating to me, and that happens on so many levels and so many things. Again, natural disasters in California. Oh, well, if you want us to help you with that, we got to give you...
There's Democrats that still get mad over people doing this, right?
So that was the
right three fingers in the
which, by the way, whenever I go to a basketball game and someone shoots a 3-pointer, I instinctively do that because that's what we do.
Yeah, I mean, people you literally have black players, doing this. Yeah, I got ice in my veins, right? But there are people who were adamant that when anyone did this, they were a white nationalist and a part of a cabal that was taking over the federal government. Right now, they may have been, right? Because all of those people, Stephen Miller, Steve Bannon, and the crew of Steves, not a great day to be a Steve, but, right? But at the end of the day, how is that different?
It's completely different because those are...
They're literally accusing the federal government of being part of a white nationalist society with an agenda to kill, and take out minorities and brown people.
And there are people who say that, and they're a fringe group of people who are frankly being ridiculous. The people,
we saw that on all sorts of you saw that on CNN, MSNBC. They talked about it ad nauseum. Don Lemon, Aaron, or what's the little guy with the Cooper? Alice Cooper? No,
Alice Cooper.
Andrew Cooper. Anderson Cooper.
Yes, thank you.
Right,
Alice Cooper, by the way.
But they literally all did hour-long segments on their show about is the AOK sign, the white sign of the white nationalists taking over the government, right? Did
they advocate for someone getting arrested for it?
I don't.
Yes, you do. The answer is no.
I don't. Are you sure? You mean to tell me that I can't? You mean to tell me that I wouldn't be able to go on there and Google somebody from MSNBC or CNN, right, advocating for someone to be arrested because they used a hand sign? You know how fucking stupid Democrats are. That is a bold bet for you to take.
I will take that bet. I will take that bet.
Terrible at this.
I am not. You told me I was going to have to bash my head through the fucking wall because what's his name? The fucking idiot.
Jim, you win one bet in 10 fucking years. And that is the only one that you can hang your hat on.
Yeah. And by the way, all right. What was the fucking guy's name?
Beto O'Rourke.
Beto O'Rourke was going to be the fucking gun czar under Biden. Wall is still intact. So is my forehead.
It's the one thing.
It's not the one, but go ahead. But my point.
I was right about fucking Trump being elected the first time.
Yes, you were. You were wrong about the second time because we both thought Kamala was going to win.
No.
We recorded it. It's on record.
Yeah, go back and see what I said. I said from the beginning, I didn't feel great about it, and I was hoping.
All right.
I didn't say, she's going to win.
Right before we both predicted she would win. I will dig it up if you
Go ahead, dig it up.
Well, I can't do it right now.
No. Dig it up in your free time, buddy.
I will do that.
And we know why we won't hear it.
What's that?
I said, we both know we won't hear it.
Yes, we will.
Okay.
All right, we're going to do this? All right, man. Let's should we switch to sports for a bit?
No, because I don't really to be honest. I don't give a fuck about the tush push, right? I don't
either.
They just talked about it, so I hate the fact that they talked about it as much as they did. One team does the play and they do it really well, and so it made no sense to ban it, right? It's stupid. There's no good argument. The only good argument that I heard about banning it was that it's not a football play, and I follow that argument. If you I would say get rid of pushing offensive players. That solves it, but they didn't want to do it, so that's that. Rest in peace to Jim Irsay. I actually met Jim Irsay once.
Really?
Yeah, he's a real super weird guy.
I mean, he had some serious issues, right?
I don't know.
He
You know
had
what?
some
You know what I
serious
don't
issues.
like? I don't know that. Like, here's the thing, Jim. Jim Irsay is rich. Jim Irsay has got cameras in his face. I don't know if Jim Irsay was any more of a drunk than you are.
I didn't say a drunk. He also got arrested for pills. He got pulled. Didn't he get pulled over naked in a Wendy's?
No, listen. The guy took pills. The guy never slept, right? Like the guy, serious issue with insomnia. We knew that.
Dude, I get that.
Right, and
part of the reason I drink so much.
He took pills and he drank a lot. He liked to party, but he also liked to work out, and he was he loved his people, right? And I don't like the reason why I don't like it is actually because if Jim Irsay were just Jim Lalka, right? Like no one would look at it like the issues that he had the way that he did.
If I croak tomorrow, people would be like, "Yeah, Jim had some issues."
They would, but again, right? Like if you go out tonight, get blacked out drunk, and get pulled over with a DUI, it's not going to be on the news. I mean, unless you go completely batshit. You know what I'm saying?
Which I probably would not.
Right, and so all I'm saying, what I'm saying is like I don't know him well enough to know, right? I think he was a wealthy guy that drank, I don't think he drank or did pills any more worse than anybody that's up the street at the vet. Right? I don't think the problem was that he's so much bigger that it's going to get magnified, amplified. Now, that's separate from saying, look, he probably should have drank a little less. He probably should have taken less pills, and he definitely didn't need to take them together. I'll listen to all that all day. All I'm saying is that the guy's no longer with us. I hate he had some serious problems.
Well, and I don't mean that to be dismissive because I agree with you. I hear it all the time, like, oh, so-and-so took drugs and they died. Yeah, that happens. But
he was bad at 65 too.
Yeah, yes. I mean, I'm calling that young because
it is young. It is young. I mean,
I'm less than 11 years from that. So
my mom.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom. I'm 44. My mom's 64.
He had. I thought he got hospitalized a few times. So I wasn't just saying just abuse issues. He had issues. He had health issues, and it saddened me that he was gone because even though the Irsay family is kind of legendarily notorious, yeah. I mean, because they moved the Colts from Baltimore to Indianapolis literally overnight in moving vans. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you look at the NFL today, you want to move a team, you got to get votes, you got to do all these things, and yeah, it's still rich boy, social club, but he literally drove his team out of town overnight. This is Irsay's dad, and then he was seriously involved in the organization at like 27, like. He might have been
younger than that.
I think he might have been there like VP of football ops or something.
Yeah. Like he
started around that age,
but he started like literally at the bottom. His dad made him start,
good.
Which I mean, he had a leg up in doing so, but he wasn't just handed the keys. He was forced to kind of figure it out.
It was like one of the Steinbrenner kids.
Yeah, but look. At the end of the day, Jim Irsay was a good guy. He had his flaws like any of us. I don't think it's necessarily fair to harp on some of those flaws, especially at this point in time. Yeah, it's worth acknowledging. And, look, I think if you're going to criticize him for having a drinking problem or a pill problem, then...
Again, that's not where I was going. I thought, I do think those things contributed to his health issues.
Yeah, I mean...
But he had health issues. So, and this might be a little bit of defensiveness on my part, because when I see someone die that's not that far off my age, I'm like... Oh, shit. And so what I find, this is going to sound gross, but I find out this person had cancer and they died at 52. I'm like, okay, that's because of a disease, not because people drop dead at this age. I mean, but people my age do drop dead every now and then. And that kind of brings me to a way to wrap this up. If you want to do one more topic before I go into my thing, and it's going to be very self-deprecating, so you'll probably like it. Anything else?
No. Are you going to talk about George Wendt?
I am.
All right, that
was
awkward.
What's that?
I said, all right.
Because I am a guy who goes to a bar quite a bit. I drink quite a bit. Everyone knows my name. And I sit next to a know-it-all mailman all the time. So I'm kind of Norm. I am not that fat. But I am... Don't give me that look, you son of... but... No, this guy...
I mean, Norm didn't start that fat at the beginning of the show.
You know what? You're a jerk. Why did I tone it down to jerk? But be proud of yourself, asshole. Anyway, but seriously, I mean, I literally loved that character growing up. Cheers was in my developmental years. I loved that show. I went to the bar when I lived in Boston, even though the inside of the bar...
It sucks.
Yeah, the bar's not... The outside is the only thing that even resembles the show. Was shot in Los Angeles, I believe. And the inside of the bar looks nothing like the set on TV. But he was a lovable character that I, at the time, just thought was funny. And then when he passed away, I thought, holy shit, I'm kind of the Norm of West Park.
Yeah.
So there
you go.
So, well, I mean, it's not a brag, but I mean, the fact that I sit next to a know-it-all mailman all the time in the same bar, and that they both know all of us, really kind of made me go, fuck, I'm kind of Norm. So rest in peace, George Wendt.
So, did you have any sort of besides that you're Norm, did anything else occur in your brain?
No.
All right. I gotta go.
I guess I did think that I still hate the Red Sox. Is that where you're going?
I mean, I'll allow that.
We are at Whiskey Congress on Instagram and X.
Suck it, Celtics.
Suck it, Celtics. Oh yeah, and they got knocked out. That made me very happy.
Yeah, so did the Cavs.
They did, and I'm finding myself cheering for the Pacers, even though they knocked out the Cavs. They're a fun team to watch. The way they beat the Knicks in Game 1 was fucking insane.
Yeah, I don't like. I have. It is easier for me to root for the football team that beats my team in the playoffs than it is for me to root for the basketball team that knocks my team. Yeah.
I didn't think they did us dirty though. Like when the Celtics beat us, and it was because that one douchebag ripped Kevin Love's arm out of its socket. I forget.
It's not about dirty.
No.
I hate, like, basketball is so annoying to me, right? Because all of a sudden now, you know, in the first game, the Pacers shoot like 90% from three, right? They have their best statistical shooting game from 3-point that they're ever going to fucking have. Right? It's just so fucking annoying, right? Then our guys get hurt, and then, you know, and I would argue the Pacers beat us, and you know, Rick Carlisle had a good plan, like, but at the same time, Mobley, Allen, I need you guys to toughen up. I need you guys to spend the summer with fucking Charles Oakley, right? Like, I need you guys to spend the summer with fucking Vernon Maxwell. You know what I mean? Or no, I would say Dennis Rodman, but that might be
that would
scary.
be a very bad idea,
right? You know, but I need you guys to toughen up, right? Like, I mean, I wish, you know, I love that show on HBO about the Lakers.
Winning Time.
Winning Time.
Loved
right?
that show.
And you go back and you looked at
Jerry Buss, Larry Bird. Okay.
No. Who was the guy? He became the coach. And he recently.
Pat Riley.
No.
Jerry
West.
Okay.
But you look at just how crazy Jerry West was and how gritty of a guy he was on the court, and then how it translates. Like, you don't have that guy. You know, Donovan Mitchell is a fighter in terms of he's never going to quit, but like, there's not that guy that you're worried that, you know, after the game he might come out of the locker room and walk on your bus, right? Yep. Like the Cavs don't have that guy, right? Like the Steelers always have one of those guys, from Joey Porter to James Harrison or whatever. I think even the old Cavs had that to a degree with, you know, Amon Shumpert and, you know,
Delonte West. I mean,
Delonte West was a little bit. You know, and JR and some of those other guys, we just don't have an edge, and I think that's the difference.
There's a scene in Winning Time that is based 100% on reality. That's one thing I loved about that show is it was real. Like everything I fact checked on it was 100% accurate. And there was a play against the Lakers in the finals where at Larry Bird's insistence, Kevin McHale just brutally fouls Kurt Rambis. And he knocks him down hard. The scuffle breaks out, and Bird and Jabbar get into it. And then McHale is reflecting on what he just did. And Larry Bird literally walks up to him and says, "If you apologize, I'll break your fucking neck." Now, I don't agree with how that was handled, but that's what you're talking about, is you want that guy that will knock you in the mouth and say, fuck you. It is a great show. It made me really, as much as I hate Boston sports, grew up hating Larry Bird, that show made me respect him a lot. I mean, I always had a big thing for Magic Johnson and Kareem, just because I grew up liking them because they played against the Celtics. But that show made me go back and look at stuff and go, Larry Bird was kind of an asshole, but damn, that guy was a good basketball player. And his health issues prevented him from being an all-time. I mean, he's already in the conversation, but his health held him back. Anyway, okay, random sports talk / HBO talk. Winning Time, definitely worth watching. And we're done.